Part 66. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 651. Chengdu Hospital of Traditional Chinese Medicine. At this time, Chengdu is not the closest area to Zhongcheng, nor is it a first-tier city. But even so, it is overcrowded. You can imagine how popular Gu's Perfect Traceless Ointment is. To be frank, this is a product that is truly purchased and consumed by the whole nation. Putting aside the rest, this grand occasion alone is unprecedented. The entire domestic market is now surging. And the Perfect Traceless Ointment is still being sold crazily. Although there are examples of a large number of people being admitted to the hospital, there are always many people who will not deliberately pay attention to the news. They will not deliberately browse the information, and Gu still spent an astonishing amount of money to suppress these news. Therefore, it seems that the number of victims in various places has increased sharply, but on some websites, there are no examples of hot searches. Dr. Long stood at the door, waiting anxiously. With him were the chief physicians and professors, who were all very authoritative professionals in the entire hospital. Who is the person who can make so many professionals stand here and wait? There is a very obvious characteristic of the domestic crowd, that is, eating melons. It seems that this has been imprinted in DNA. Even if many patients are still in pain, they can't help but start eating melons. Although they don't know this group of doctors very well, they will subconsciously and instinctively be curious when they see so many doctors standing together, as if waiting for something. Soon, under the curiosity of countless patients and some accompanying personnel, a rather low-key van slowly appeared at the door of the hospital. When everyone saw this car, the first thing that flashed in their minds was confusion. When did the big guys become so low-key when they appeared? They didn't even use luxury cars. When the door of the van was opened, an old man walked out of the car. Although the old man is very old, he is still energetic. When he came down, he was also quite tough, and he didn't look like an old man at all. "Mr. Zhao, you are finally here." The dean of the hospital hurried forward to greet him. "Who is that? Such a big name. Why do I feel familiar? I always feel like I see this face often recently. Why do I feel familiar? It turns out to be Zhao Dezu, the stupid doctor. Is it him? How can such a person with corrupt medical ethics be like this? Is this the Chinese medicine hospital? I am so disappointed. I really cannot agree that they can use such a formation to welcome Zhao Dezu. It seems that most of them are birds of a feather. Yes, it is said that birds of a feather flock together. Obviously, these people are not good people." Before Zhao Dezu was invited in, the extremely crowded medical hall had already been boiling. Their resistance was very obvious. And the faces of the doctors who welcomed Zhao Dezu were also indescribably embarrassed and angry. They knew better than anyone what kind of person Mr. Zhao was. It was this group of guys who were led by the nose that could not see the truth of the matter clearly. Zhao Dezu's face was calm. He had long passed the stage of being flattered. Even if these people scolded him in front of him, he felt that it was just that. However, what Zhao Dezu did not expect was that the public's resistance to him this time far exceeded his imagination. At this time, figures stood up in the hall. Each of them was glaring, as if they saw a murderer, with a very hateful face. "Why can he come in? We will never accept the treatment of such a morally corrupt person. If your hospital insists on hiring this person, we will complain." "That's right, complain to the end. This kind of beast who does human experiments should be locked up in jail. Get out." Countless figures stood up, and their attitudes were surprisingly firm. At this moment, it seemed that if Zhao Dezu entered here, their lives would be threatened. A group of doctors and nurses almost fainted when they heard these words. Dr. Long sighed heavily. He thought he could just endure it, but now it seems that he was wrong. Even those who have studied may not be wise. Even at this time, some people directly took out the tools around them and smashed them at Zhao Dezu. At this time, Dr. Long and the doctors in the hospital were really annoyed. Although Dr. Long was old, he was also a good martial artist in his past. He immediately knocked down the things that the other party threw down with one hand. Dr. Long, with a white beard, had a sharp look in his eyes and a strong aura, blocking Zhao Dezu. Security personnel, catch the one who hit him, Dr. Long said angrily. Who dares? You doctors are so bold, who gave you the right to arrest people? We want to complain, your Chinese medicine hospital is really bad. He beat people, the doctors of the Chinese medicine hospital beat people. This person made a scene on the spot, and the entire hospital lobby looked like a vegetable market. The hospital is most afraid of this kind of thing. No matter whose fault it is, once it is exposed, the hospital will suffer the greatest loss. However, this time, Dr. Long did not indulge them. He immediately took a step forward and pulled the patient out of the crowd. Whoever is yelling here, get out of here. Dr. Long's voice was as loud as a radio, bring out the surveillance camera and hit people with heavy objects in public. Although you won't be put in jail, it can still get you detention for a few days. The surrounding sounds are all weak. Also, you can make trouble, but we are a hospital and we are always tolerant, but it only makes you push forward, right? From now on, our traditional Chinese medicine hospital has officially hired Mr. Zhao Dezu as our consultant physician. If you are not willing to receive treatment in our traditional Chinese medicine hospital, please leave now. If anyone dares to cause trouble in the hospital, don't blame the hospital for taking coercive measures. Our hospital also has special rights to deal with it at this juncture. The loud voice resounded throughout the hall, and many people were immediately frightened. A bunch of brainless people, do you believe anything they say on the internet? Look at what the companies you trust have brought to you. I still haven't understood who gave you this kind of pain. Long the doctor cursed with hatred, whoever dares to make trouble again will not be able to receive treatment. Our hospital also has the right not to accept you group of people who are making things difficult for doctors and patients. The crowd was naturally even more excited, but many people were so excited that they still didn't dare to take the lead easily. Unless the impulse is taken to the extreme, everyone is still somewhat rational. The hospital did not do anything excessive. This is the most defensible point. Are you still making trouble? If not, just stay quietly. If you don't want to wait here for treatment, leave now. Dr. Long snorted coldly, then turned to Zhao Dezu and said, Mr. Zhao, please come inside. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 652. What kind of hospital is this? Isn't it too arrogant? This kind of hospital is simply a black-hearted hospital. That's right, if you don't treat the patients, what kind of doctors are you? The video was eventually uploaded to the internet, and it also caused discussion and uproar in the first place. However, this time the comments on the internet were no longer one-sided. These foul-mouthed people upstairs are really completely indiscriminate. They are starting to spray now. What you heard is only one-sided words from Gu. Where is the evidence? I have a few doubts. First, is Zhao Dezu really a person with corrupt morals? Second, if Zhao Dezu is, then how did he get such a big reputation? He has insisted on practicing medicine until now, and countless people have been treated by him. Are these people blind? Third, if Zhao Dezu is really hypocritical, then how many people can do a person who is hypocritical from young to old? Is this really hypocritical? Doctors are not your dogs. You can't call them and send them away. They are also human beings. Why do you have the right to throw tantrums and curse people, but they don't have the right to refuse treatment? You take all the benefits, and they are the bad guys. Why? From the beginning, I don't believe Zhao Dezu is that kind of person. After all, It is impossible for such a person who has received various highest honors to have such a dirty background. Until now, these stupid guys have not woken up. Is your current pain caused by Zhao Dezu? That is the Gu family you trust. I didn't believe there were really stupid people before, but now this developed online world has made me see that there are more stupid people than when there was no universal education. They always think that they have received 9 years of compulsory education and are wise people. This kind of half-pot is really the most terrible. For the first time, I saw what it means to be sold and count money for others. Gu made your money and hurt you. You are still defending them. It's ridiculous. I just want to say that you deserve to be tortured like this today. A debate officially broke out in the online world. At the same time, Xiaofeng tea was quietly spreading. The first is the business circle in the capital, because almost all of them are the top bosses. So, the speed of dissemination is the widest, and the acceptance is also extremely fast. Everyone has money and free time, so making tea and relaxing is the best. Moreover, with some people secretly promoting it, the spread of Xiaofeng tea has become faster. Coupled with the influx of publicity, Xiaofeng tea was almost sold out in an instant. Those people who don't seem to have as many fans on Douyin and social platforms as internet celebrities have more than 10 times more reliable publicity effects than these internet celebrities. Because the objects of their publicity are all real. Discussions about Xiaofeng tea on the internet have also increased unknowingly. But at the same time, Gu's one-drink light slimming tea is still the top leader at the moment, and almost all of them are sold out. Moreover, Gu's side is still increasing production, and the market estimate is constantly rising. In Rongcheng, Kang Quilai started promoting it immediately after returning. Even without him saying anything, someone has already taken the order. These people are the top domestic tea manufacturers and distributors. To be frank, they are the ones who make the decisions on tea. It would be almost no problem for them to promote any product they want. On this day, Xiaofeng tea quietly occupied the top position in major tea markets. Even if the sales volume was not the first, they could put it in the most conspicuous position with the most eye-catching slogan. Douyin. Mei Xingqing is a big star with 3 million fans and a female blogger with a fat body. She looks like a queen or a Lolita, but she is troubled because she easily gains weight no matter what she eats. As a foodie, she can't help it every time she sees food. The price she needs to pay is to lose weight through high-intensity exercise. Even if she likes fitness, there are times when she is lazy. Once she is lazy, she will gain weight. Mei Xingqing is very eager for a product that can lose weight without exercise. After Gu's Yiheking appeared, Mei Xingqing almost cried with joy. During that time, she could be said to have become Gu's most loyal and fanatical fan. However, what Mei Xingqing didn't expect was that she had problems with her body after only using it for a week. Her body, which was originally normal, suddenly began to go to the toilet frequently. At first, she could accept going to the toilet and was mentally prepared. All slimming teas on the market have this side effect, which excretes a lot of things from the body through metabolism. But if this happens frequently, it will damage the body and cause serious dehydration. Mei Xingqing used to share her experience of using Yiheking developed by Gu's every day, but she posted a video at the end, which attracted everyone's attention. That is, Mei Xingqing has been admitted to the hospital. Fortunately, the diarrhea was not very serious, and she was discharged from the hospital soon, and then she started to complain about slimming tea. And by chance, Xiaofeng tea was online. This time, Mei Xingqing held the mentality of giving it a try and stopping any problems, so she filmed another video. And this time, she will take the risk and see which of the two slimming teas is better. She has already released a video of Gu's slimming tea. To be honest, it is really unsatisfactory. Of course, there are many people who criticize her below, and there are also many supporters. Mei Xingqing will carefully record the purchase and use of Xiaofeng tea. What Mei Xingqing and her fans did not expect was that this time Xiaofeng tea did not seem to react as quickly as the first drink. Even Mei Xingqing was ready to have diarrhea again, but strangely, she did not have diarrhea. Except for the need to go to the toilet every day, there were no other symptoms. What Mei Xingqing herself did not notice was that her side effects had been cleared up. Not only that, the originally dark complexion also slowly became normal. It can be said that after using Xiaofeng tea, Mei Xingqing's changes were really great. In less than 3 or 4 days, Mei Xingqing's round face, which was a little chubby, had become thinner. It was during this period that Mei Xingqing's fans went from more than 3 million to more than 5 million. This is the most incredible thing. Mei Xingqing's big data changes have also attracted the attention of many female anchors of the same type, so they followed suit and bought Xiaofeng tea. Although the information on the internet is true and false, when more and more people begin to pay attention to Xiaofeng tea, and the actual effect of Xiaofeng tea is better than Gu's Yiheking, the situation begins to be completely different. Mei Xingqing turned on the camera again at this moment, and even did not turn on the beauty and face slimming. It was the first time that she was so satisfied with her condition. Dear babies, I started recording again. I believe everyone has seen my condition, right? I won't say much about the effect of Xiaofeng tea, lest someone think I received benefits. I said when I was recording Yiheking that I simply wanted to lose weight. I was once a crazy fan of Gu's, but it is precisely because of this that I am now very disappointed with Gu's. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 653. The release of Mei Xingqing's video was popular almost instantly. There was no way. Now was not the time for the whole network to mock them. Although Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang still had a bad reputation, they were not so boycotted. As Gu gradually lost control of the situation, public opinion had begun to turn around. The release of Xiaofeng Cha's video caused a huge response. Humans are quite complex animals. They can be very rational when they are rational, but if they are irrational, they can also make people feel that they are completely brainless. Just like now, because of Gu's operation, countless people were attracted. But it was also because of this that Gu lost people's hearts very quickly. The deeper the love, the more severe the blame. Those who believed in Gu were now gritting their teeth in hatred of Gu. Especially when they found that the products of Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang, which were exposed by them on the whole network, were simply beating Gu. This kind of gap was the most uncomfortable. The deeper the love, the more cruel the hatred. This is the real conscientious slimming tea. Please don't do that, upstairs. I would rather Xiaofeng tea be as low-key as it is now. You guys praised Gu's tea as a god, and now you start to praise Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang. I really can't compliment you. That's right, let this kind of conscientious product shine quietly. I really want to say that Xiaofeng tea, which is ridiculed by the whole network, is really fragrant. This is the first time I have used slimming tea with no side effects. It's amazing. This tea is less than half the price of Gu's, but the credit is really awesome. My old stomach disease has not recurred recently, and I feel warm in my stomach. Maybe, we owe Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang an apology. Countless comments came out. This video of Mei Xingqing quickly became popular. Xiaofeng tea? Isn't this produced by Li and Zhao? Isn't it a knockoff? I've seen a lot of big guys using it recently, and they haven't advertised it either, so low-key. Everyone, look at these drinks from the big guys. To be honest, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that these top big guys are actually obsessed with this tea. Li Chen stretched his waist lazily, looked at Murong Shui lying in his arms, and smiled. Shui, are you comfortable? Yeah, Mirongxue nodded shyly, and looked at Li Biwu lying on her stomach helplessly, with saliva dripping. Li Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and flicked his fingers. What? Hit me. Li Biwu suddenly woke up, covered her little butt, and looked around alertly. The little girl was still a little confused, and rubbed her sore butt. Mirongxue got up and took out a tissue to wipe the saliva flowing from Li Biwu. Mom, Li Biwu crawled to Mirongxue's side and poked the place wet by her saliva with her little finger. Dry it? Who else could it be? Mirongxue poked Li Biwu's forehead with her finger. Li Biwu covered her mouth with a look of surprise and said, Not me, not me. I didn't expect you to admit it. Mirongxue rolled her eyes and said, It's your dad. Ah, Dad, you are so stupid. Li Chen felt that he should have hit harder just now. Ding-ling-ling. Li Chen looked at the mobile phone on the table and didn't want to move. Daddy. Li Biwu slid off the sofa, lay on the coffee table, looked at the mobile phone and said, There is money for you. Then Xiao, can you help Daddy answer it? Li Chen said with one hand on the back of his head. Li Biwu stretched out her white and tender little fingers and picked up the phone. Wei Wai. Wei Wai, are you here? Li Biwu asked with her big round eyes. Xiao, Xiao. Li Biwu's eyes brightened instantly, and she said excitedly, Grandpa Zhao. Call me Grandpa Zhao. Okay, Grandpa Zhao. Li Chen held back his smile. His cheap master should be very depressed at this time. If Xiao called him Grandpa Zhao, then he would be one generation lower than his grandfather. No wonder this old man is so obsessed with the name. It's Master Zhao. Okay, okay, Li Biwu shook his head happily. Master Zhao, are you looking for my dad? Yes, is your dad home? Li Chen shook his head and whispered, I'm not at home. Li Biwu immediately said happily, Dad, he's not at home. Li Chen. Zhao Dezu. Li Nanfei and Li Zifeng, who just walked out of the room, slapped their foreheads with one hand. Stupid sister is really hopeless. It's not easy to let Dad have time to accompany us, how can you not lie? Li Chen, answer the phone, Zhao Dezu said seriously. Sighing, Li Chen knew that his rest plan was probably going to be ruined. Master. Come to the Chinese medicine hospital right away. We are facing a big problem now and need you to solve it. Zhao Dezu's voice was unusually serious. He did not bear grudges because of the accusations, slanders and abuses against him by the whole network. On the contrary, he really wanted to solve the current troubles. Li Chen frowned slightly and said, Even you can't solve it? It can only solve part of it, but there are some things that I can't neutralize. If I forcefully erase them, it will cause permanent damage to the human body, Zhao Dezu said. Things with side effects are bound to cause certain damage to the human body. Zhao Dezu's idea is to eliminate the side effects without harming the bodies of these patients. The difficulty of the work is equivalent to adjusting from the ordinary level to the super difficult level. Even a veteran like Zhao Dezu who has rich experience in medical treatment has no better way for a while. But Zhao Dezu knows that this disciple is a real genius, who has truly mastered everything. Li Chen was silent for a moment and said, Okay, I understand. He can refuse to treat this group of people who make him very unhappy, but he cannot refuse the true and kind heart of his master. Mirongxue and the three children were all looking at him. Li Chen smiled bitterly, I have to go help him. Mirongxue gently hugged Li Chen's head and said with a smile, a man should not always take care of his family, right? Since the master is looking for you, then go ahead. After solving this matter, we will go home. Okay, Li Chen took a deep breath, stood up and opened his arms to the three little guys, come, let Dad hug you. Next, Dad will solve the bad guys in one go, and we will go home. Li Zifeng, Li Nanfei, and Li Biwu all threw themselves into Li Chen's arms and hugged him tightly. Be good, wait for Dad to come back. Yeah, Li Biwu even touched Li Chen's head with his chubby little white hands. Li Chen smiled, turned around to get his things, and went out. Gu family, your death is not far away. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 654. Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital. In the conference room, many chief physicians and professors took their seats. Soon, there was a knock on the door. The dean immediately opened the door and gave Li Chen adequate treatment. Many doctors were amazed when they saw Li Chen's young appearance. Although I have been prepared in my heart, it is inevitable that I will not be able to accept it. No one doubts Li Chen's ability. At least, they all recognized Zhao Dezu's ability, and Zhao Dezu briefly talked about Li Chen's record before. Although it was not much, there were traces to follow. This alone left everyone present in the dust. Li Chen looked at the packed conference room and smiled back. At least, these people can afford the word doctor. Master Li Chen saw Zhao Dezu sitting aside, and just as he was about to lean down, Zhao Dezu stood up and said, "My disciple is here, let's officially start now." "Are you really in such a hurry? You don't even have time for me to sit down and take a sip of water?" Li Chen couldn't laugh or cry. "Master, are you too honest? Just now we carefully compared the snow ointment jointly developed by you and Zhao Hualiang. We found that the materials you used are very expensive. Even applying them can enhance some of the woman's resistance. Your medicine can also cover goose, but goose medicine is too potent, and the result is that the side effects cannot be controlled at all." Zhao Dezu said, "Now, do you have a better way to deal with the fact that women will not be able to have children in the future?" This question seems simple, but it is a point that troubles everyone. Many eyes here were focused on Li Chen. They were still very curious about this young doctor. Li Chen noticed that everyone was paying attention to him, so he said, "All the ingredients of the Gu family are here." There was a commotion in the office. "Can all this be analyzed? We can only rely on part of the introduction and the formula it gives for analysis." "How did you know this? Actually there are so many hidden things." Many doctors were shocked. The first-hand information Li Chen brought out shocked them all. Zhao Dezu raised his chin proudly, with a proud look on his face. In the conference room, the eyes of everyone looking at Li Chen soon became extremely hot. They looked at Li Chen talking and even preparing everything in place, and they knew that this young man had been prepared. Suddenly, everyone reacted. Perhaps, Li and Zhao have not fought back during this period, not because they have no ability to fight back, but because they have been waiting. The moment he took action, Gu was put to death. This meeting was eye-opening and even deeply shocking to everyone. A young man under the age of 30 has so much medical knowledge that they will never be able to catch up in their lifetime. No wonder Mr. Zhao can be so confident and proud, he really has found a treasure. It's probably a process like this. Our drugs have a certain effect, but we have to rely on our newly developed drugs to neutralize the side effects, Li Chen said. Li's and Zhao's have already produced them and can be put into use at any time. Hiss. The beards of the dean, professors, and others were almost torn off. Dr. Long couldn't help but pinch his thigh. Looking at Li Chen with a smile, he couldn't help but feel a chill. A capable young man is not scary, nor is a handsome and wealthy young man scary. What is scary is that this young man is capable, rich, handsome, and knows how to make plans before taking action. This is so scary. Now, everyone has reacted. This disciple of Mr. Zhao has always shown weakness to the enemy. This time, the Gu family may really be in trouble. Although they all know that the current Li family and the Zhao family are not at the same level as the Gu family. However, Li Chen was too well prepared. Traditional Chinese Medicine Hospital. Many patients are in so much pain that some even beat themselves in public, and some even bang their heads against the wall to relieve the pain. Please pay attention to all patients and family members. Now our hospital solemnly announces that in response to your questions, our hospital's consultants, Mr. Zhao Dezu and Mr. Li Chen, have developed a new diagnostic plan. The whole hospital was in an uproar. If anyone is unwilling to receive treatment, please leave now. The hospital does not charge you any fees. If it is income, please take the bill and return it. Thank you. The short words instantly caused a huge response. Honey, let's go. Why are we leaving? The lying woman yelled like crazy. I've become like this, and now there's no way to save me from the outside world. Do you want me to die? You heartless thing, I'm still trying to get rid of stretch marks, not for you. Okay, then let's stay here. Mom, shall we go? If you don't leave, it will hurt me to death. Baby, then Li Chen is a profiteer. We don't want his treatment. Go away, let's break up. In the hospital, there was a lot of noise and shouting. Chaos. But when the medical staff showed up with the medicine, many patients were immediately too frightened to say anything. If you want to receive treatment here, then be quiet, the head nurse snorted coldly. Do you really think the hospital is a vegetable market? Also, Dr. Zhao Dezu and Mr. Li Chen don't expect you to be grateful, but I also advise you that you must be conscientious as a person, and the first priority of being a person is also to be a human being. Many patients were silent. Yes, the first priority of being a person is how to be a human being. But do many people still remember? Li Chen, is he really as unbearable as the outside world has slandered him? When Manteng and Lai Wanyan, who kept hitting the wall to relieve the itching, were stunned after hearing the broadcast. Lai Wanyan has completely changed like a different person, with a pale face, no makeup, messy hair, and a bloody abdomen. Even if she applied medicine and did simple treatment, she couldn't help scratching. Tong Tong, is Li Chen that Li Chen? Lai Wanyan saw a little hope in her eyes. When Manteng was in a complicated mood, especially when she heard Li Chen's name at this time. I don't know, she had given up on Chu Xiang at this moment, and felt more regret for Li Chen. Dong dong. The door was knocked, and a petite female nurse came in with someone. Those who moved in first and paid the money must have received different treatment. Ms. Lai Wanyan. It's me, Lai Wanyan, who looked completely haggard, responded immediately. I'll start the treatment for you now. The female nurse began to disinfect, but when she saw Lai Wanyan's injury, she couldn't help but say, why is your injury so serious? Lai Wanyan cried out in grievance when she heard this, I want to get rid of it quickly, so. The female nurse sighed and began to apply it on her. Wait, why are you using the snow cream? Lai Wanyan instinctively began to worry. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 655. At this time, Lai Wanyan was really full of vigilance. This is also a case of being afraid of the rope for 10 years after being bitten by a snake once. She trusted Gu so much, but Gu's products made her suffer. Now, she really dared not trust anything else casually. When Manteng also stared at the nurse closely, and she really did not dare to be careless. Seeing her good girlfriend in such pain, she could only worry. The nurse said, you also heard the broadcast just now. The drugs we use are all developed by Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang. This is also the drug for removing stretch marks that is disliked by everyone. The nurse obviously knew it very well, and this was also an emergency training. The medicinal materials of this drug are almost all the most rare batch of medicinal materials, which are very valuable and have great medicinal value. Although I haven't used it yet, all doctors unanimously believe that it has no side effects. Not only that, it also has some effect on suppressing your condition. When Manteng and Lai Wanyan were a little bit unbelievable. The drug for removing stretch marks that Li Chen and his team studied actually has a life-saving effect. Is it true or not? Why do they all feel like the words of a liar? This is just the initial suppression, said the nurse. When your condition improves, we will use the second drug, which is the key to clearing the residual drugs. So, have you two thought about it? Use it or not? Lai Wanyan looked at Wen Mantung for help. At this moment, she was extremely insecure and didn't know how to choose. Can I ask one last question? Wen Mantung had to muster up the courage to ask, excuse me, is this Li Chen the one who has been cyberbullied by the whole network recently? The nurse's eyes suddenly became sharp, giving Wen Mantung great pressure, and her tone was a little impatient. If you are still unwilling, or think that Mr. Li Chen has deceived you, then you can go and refund the medical expenses now. Our broadcast has made it very clear. Although Mr. Li Chen and Dr. Zhao Dezu don't mind people misunderstanding them, we bystanders feel that it's not worth it for them. Wen Mantung and Lai Wanyan looked even more embarrassed. Now they are sure that this Li Chen is the Li Chen they know. Wen Mantung looked at Lai Wanyan, and finally nodded heavily and said, we are willing to treat. The nurse snorted coldly, and it was not good to continue the attack, so she began to apply medicine to Lai Wanyan. After applying the medicine, Wen Mantung said, that nurse, can we ask you to do us another favor? What favor? The nurse said vigilantly. We want to see Li Chen. Don't get me wrong, we are actually classmates. He should know our names if you say them, Wen Mantung said again. The nurse muttered something, but still wrote it down. Seeing the nurse go to help others, the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. Wen Mantung took out a tissue to help Lai Wanyan wipe the sweat off his face, and asked, how do you feel? Hearing this, Lai Wanyan couldn't help but look at his abdomen, with a hint of surprise on his face, saying, it doesn't seem to be very itchy anymore. It works so quickly, Wen Mantung exclaimed. Well, I'm not sure, let's observe it more, Lai Wanyan said. The entire Chinese medicine hospital. I really don't itch anymore, I really don't itch anymore, woo woo. Hubby, I don't feel any pain anymore. Mom, how do you feel? Much better, much better. The Chinese medicine hospital, which was originally gloomy, was instantly enveloped by joy. It was really the previous pain that tortured everyone to death. Now the effect of the medicine is so fast that they were simply unexpected. Could it be that we are really wrong? Maybe we are really wrong. Li Chen was framed from the beginning. If we had known this earlier, we would not have suffered at the beginning. Alas, it's all my fault. I was led by the comments on the internet. Wife, we were all wrong, that Li Chen, isn't he a profiteer? In the hospital, many people burst into tears. Originally, many nurses and doctors disliked them and were even more reluctant to pay attention to them, but they couldn't stand the constant questioning of this group of people. Nurse, please let us see Mr. Li Chen. Yes, please tell Mr. Li Chen. We want to apologize to Mr. Li Chen in person. The group surrounded the nurses and doctors, their eyes full of desire. Okay, disperse, Dr. Long said. If I were Mr. Li Chen, I would definitely not want to see you, because you are just like you did when you were chasing after goose, and there is no cooling off period. Everyone was a little depressed when they heard this. Yes, many people started when their brains were hot. Just like when they chased after goose and put goo on the altar. Although we don't get involved in those fights, we can also see that there is a competition of interests between goose and Li Chen. If you really want to thank Li Chen, then you should help him publicize more and let more victims know that goose drugs are problematic. Dissuading at this time can reduce many hidden dangers and save many people from suffering. As for removing stretch marks, my personal opinion is that stretch marks are proof of a couple having a baby. Is it really ugly to leave them? Why do you have to remove them? Of course, if you really want to remove them, then I personally suggest that you consider the snow melt cream jointly produced by Li and Zhao. Dr. Long left after he finished speaking, leaving a group of people at a loss. Dr. Long is right. What does it mean if we thank them in person? Yes, the internet is really addictive now. After this battle, we should wake up and have a certain ability to distinguish right from wrong. Let's promote it after we go back. After all, this can be regarded as a compensation for the wrong things we have done. Many people nodded. In the research room, a large number of people are participating in new research. This research is not aimed at perfect and traceless, but at Guzyi light weight loss tea. Li Chen really didn't expect that they would produce weight loss tea, and he didn't expect that they were so crazy to make money. Even the weight loss tea was tampered with, so everyone had to urgently research a treatment plan. Dr. Li. Dr. Long, Li Chen put down the work in his hands, turned around and smiled. Just now a nurse said that your classmates want to see you. Their names are Wen Mantong and Lai Wanyan. They are in our hospital. Dr. Long said, do you want to see them? When Li Chen heard these two names, he was indeed not expecting it. However, he can understand that women can't listen to some things. If Wen Mantong and Lai Wanyan didn't mention it, he would naturally not see them, but now that they have taken the initiative to mention it, it would be a bit unreasonable for him to pretend that he didn't know. Then, I'll go see them. Thank you for your hard work here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 656. In the ward. It was completely dark. When Mantong bought some food from the hospital cafeteria, and the two of them sat in the ward to eat. Although Lai Wanyan's face was still pale, he was no longer in pain and torture. Perhaps because he was no longer itchy and uncomfortable, his appetite was surprisingly good. On the contrary, Wen Mantong didn't eat much. Ding-ling-ling. Wen Mantong's cell phone rang. When she saw that it was Chu Xiang who called, Wen Mantong's face looked a little bad. Lai Wanyan glanced at it and asked in a low voice, Tong Tong, why don't you answer it? She actually noticed something wrong with her best friend, but after experiencing all this, she was no longer confident in her judgment. I don't want to answer it. You didn't reconcile that night. Lai Wanyan noticed the problem. Do you really think he will be a good husband and a good father? Wen Mantong hesitated for a moment, looking at Lai Wanyan steadily. Being stared at by Wen Mantong made her feel a little uncomfortable. Lai Wanyan sat up slightly and asked, what happened to you? He cheated on her. Click. Lai Wanyan's chopsticks were so frightened. No, no way. She never thought that this question would be a big news. Cheating, how is this possible? Doesn't Chu Xiang love Tong Tong very much? Can he cheat? Tong Tong, are you mistaken? Chu Xiang loves you so much. That night when I came back, I smelled the perfume on him. He doesn't have this brand, and I don't have it either. Although he always smells like cigarettes, but... Lai Wanyan understood the rest of the words without saying anything. What's more, there are lipstick marks on the back of his neck. Wen Mantong smiled sadly. When he came back to beat me that night, he didn't have anything on him. At this moment, Lai Wanyan's head was buzzing. Chu Xiang cheated on her? She grabbed Wen Mantong's hand with some heartache, and she really didn't know what to say. She and Chu Xiang have always had a good relationship, mainly because the elders of the two families are on good terms, and she and Chu Xiang are close friends. Otherwise, she would not have wanted to match him with Wen Mantong. But now this news is like a bolt from the blue. Lai Wanyan looked at the ringing ringtone and name on her phone, and felt it was harsh and glaring. If this is true, then Chu Xiang is really a scumbag. Is there nothing she has done right? Matching up an old girlfriend, but she ended up being cuckolded. Wanted to get rid of stretch marks after giving birth with a good girlfriend, but ended up making such a mistake. Lai Wanyan doubted herself and her life a little. Wen Mantong put away her phone and turned it to silent mode. Soon, she started to clean up the rice she had just eaten. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Wen Mantong and Lai Wanyan both looked at the door at the same time, and for some reason, they became a little nervous. Is anyone there? A familiar yet strange voice sounded, and Wen Mantong and Lai Wanyan both subconsciously tidied their clothes before opening the door. Li Chen, wearing a white coat and a mask, walked in. Seeing that it was Wen Mantong who opened the door, a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. He took off his mask and said, "How are you?" Wen Mantong nodded gently, and said gently, "I'm fine, it's mainly Wanyan." Lai Wanyan, who was sitting on the bed, had a pale face, and her eyes didn't dare to look directly at Li Chen. She thought of the tricks she had done, and she wanted to hit her head and die. Li Chen smiled and said, "Lai Wanyan, how do you feel now?" Not bad. Lai Wanyan didn't expect Li Chen to not sneer, and she felt even more ashamed. "Give me your hand, I'll take your pulse." Li Chen walked to the bed and sat down, and Lai Wanyan stretched out her white and tender arm a little embarrassedly. At this moment, Lai Wanyan stared at Li Chen's profile, and her cheeks unconsciously blushed a little. "It's okay, nothing serious, you just used it more in the past few days." Li Chen took his hand back and smiled, "Just rest for 2 days. "Thank you," Lai Wanyan mustered up the courage to say. "Li Chen, I'm sorry." Li Chen stared at Lai Wanyan in surprise, and the latter said, "At the beginning, if I hadn't targeted you like that in school, maybe, everyone wouldn't look at you like that. I'm sorry, I know that apologies are useless, but I still want to say this belated apology. In addition, you reminded us last time, but I judged others by my own meanness, which led to such a disaster today. I'm really sorry." Li Chen looked at Lai Wanyan, who apologized seriously and couldn't help laughing. "You called me here to apologize?" Lai Wanyan didn't know what to say for a while. Just when Wen Mantong was about to speak, the door was suddenly pushed open. Tong tong. In addition to Chu Xiang, there was another man who rushed in from outside the door. He looked pretty good and was relatively gentle. Li Chen didn't know him. Chu Xiang rushed into the room with a look of anxiety, and went straight to Wen Mantong. "Are you okay? I called you, why didn't you answer? Don't you know I'm worried about you?" Wen Mantong looked at the man in front of her, who was asking questions like a machine gun, but she didn't feel any worry or concern. She only felt false, everything seemed like acting. Wen Mantong gently broke away Chu Xiang's hands and said, "There are other people here." Only then did Chu Xiang turn his head. When he saw Li Chen, a hint of imperceptible anger flashed in his eyes, and then a look of surprise appeared on his face, as if he had just noticed. Unfortunately, Li Chen saw it all. "Li Chen, why are you here?" Chu Xiang asked. "As a doctor, shouldn't I be here to treat patients?" Li Chen asked. Chu Xiang frowned slightly and said, "Tong tong, could it be that he changed the medicine for you?" Hearing this, Wen Mantong couldn't bear it, no matter how good-tempered he was. "Chu Xiang, in your eyes, am I so unworthy? In your eyes, is Li Chen so dirty?" Wen Mantong's rhetorical question made the whole room feel embarrassed. He didn't expect that Wen Mantong's emotional reaction was so intense that he didn't know how to refute it for a while. But the more Wen Mantong acted like this, the more annoyed he became. Glancing at the man standing at the door, Chu Xiang said again, "You have also heard about Li Chen. Let's keep our eyes open. After all, some people can confuse many people by their appearance. They know people but not their hearts." When Wen Mantong heard this, she didn't want to talk to him anymore. She finally saw this man clearly, and he really disappointed her. Lai Wanyan's face turned red very much, and she finally realized that the good friend she thought she had a long time ago. These words are not only slandering Li Chen, but also giving eye drops to her husband. It was her who was lying down now, and the area in question was near her lower abdomen, so it was relatively private. After Chu Xiang said this, Lai Wanyan was no longer a human being inside and out. Chu Xiang did have this plan to make the man standing at the door hostile to Li Chen. Just after Chu Xiang said this, the man standing at the door spoke. "Are you Li Chen?" After hearing what Chu Xiang said, the gentleman's face showed a hint of surprise. "That's me." Li Chen nodded. Lai Wanyan and Chu Xiang both became nervous. If Li Chen had a dispute with him, it would be a big deal. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 657. I heard Wanyan mention you. I heard that you were very independent before, and now I find you are even more independent after meeting you. The man laughed. Li Chen raised his eyebrows and looked at Lai Wanyan. Lai Wanyan immediately said, "This is my husband, Wang Yiming." Lai Wanyan felt guilty. She had said a lot of bad things about Li Chen before. After meeting Li Chen recently, she complained more than once. She was afraid that Wang Yiming would let the cat out of the bag, otherwise she would be really embarrassed. "Hello, Wang Yiming, Lai Wanyan's husband. I have heard of you for a long time." Wang Yiming took the initiative to shake hands with Li Chen and chat, leaving Chu Xiang aside. Li Chen shook hands with this person without knowing why. After all, he had to give face to his old classmate. "Mr. Wang, have you heard of me? Mr. Li's research and your company's drug research have always been based on conscience and responsibility. For example, the several drugs produced recently have almost no side effects. I have always wanted to meet them, but unfortunately I don't have the opportunity. Fortunately, I can reach a cooperation with Mr. Ling." Wang Yiming's words are very comfortable, and even more so when he laughs. Wen Mantung, Chu Xiang, and Lai Wanyan on the side were all confused. How could these two people have any intersection? Li Chen couldn't help laughing when he heard it. Wang Group. The newly appointed president, Li Chen looked at Wang Yiming in front of him in surprise. "That's right." Li Chen laughed and said, "So it's you. I admire Mr. Wang very much. I have also read the papers and works published by Mr. Wang. They are quite good." Lai Wanyan. Wen Mantung. Chu Xiang. Looking at the two people who were talking happily, the three people in the room were all confused. Especially Chu Xiang, his eyes were so gloomy at this moment that water could drip out. "So, you two have been friends for a long time," Chu Xiang joked. However, neither Li Chen nor Wang Yiming paid any attention to him. Lai Wanyan had a good relationship with Chu Xiang before, but that didn't mean he had a good relationship with Chu Xiang. From the first time he met Chu Xiang, Wang Yiming didn't like Chu Xiang very much. First, he felt that Chu Xiang was not upright, and second, as a man, he instinctively resisted his good relationship with his wife. In addition, he secretly put on eye drops to make himself and Li Chen quarrel, so Wang Yiming looked down on him even more. Now, no one in the room paid attention to him. Chu Xiang was furious, but he had to keep a smile on his face. "Tong Tong, since Dr. Li and Wang Yiming are here, let's go home first. Xiaobao is still waiting for you at home." Wen Mantung shook off Chu Xiang's hand and said, "Let's get a divorce." The room fell into silence again, and Chu Xiang was completely dazed. "What did you say?" "I said, let's get a divorce." Wen Mantung said, "I will fulfill your wish and give you the life you want." "Tong Tong, what's wrong with you? Do you know? You don't really think I'm a fool?" Wen Mantung smiled and said, "Give everyone 6 points of leeway, okay?" Chu Xiang was shocked and looked at the woman in front of him in disbelief. His face was extremely ugly, pointing at Li Chen and saying, "Is it because of him? Wen Mantung, you are really a slut." "Chu Xiang, please respect yourself." "I respect myself? You are a slut, you are married to me, and you are still thinking about a married man. Who should respect themselves, Chu Xiang said angrily, stretched out his hand to grab Wen Mantung and said, "Come back with me." Let go. Wen Mantung had no way to break free from Chu Xiang's hand. "We are over. Divorce? Do you think I will let you succeed?" Chu Xiang grinned. "Li Chen, I believe you don't want this kind of broken flower and withered willow, right? Let me go." Chu Xiang's face turned cold, raised his palm and slapped Wen Mantung, but just as he raised his palm, Li Chen grabbed his wrist. "I don't know what happened to you, but there's no need to involve me," Li Chen said calmly. "Besides, it's not appropriate to hit your own wife, right?" Seeing Li Chen really trying to stop him, Chu Xiang became even more annoyed. "I hit my own wife, why are you meddling in my business?" Lai Wanyan and Wang Yiming's faces suddenly became ugly, and they really refreshed their perception of Chu Xiang. Bang! Chu Xiang flew backwards and fell to the ground. Half of his face became red and swollen at a speed visible to the naked eye, blood oozed from the corners of his mouth, and he looked terrified. "It seems okay for me to hit someone who harassed my friend, right?" Li Chen wiped his hands and asked Lai Wanyan and Wang Yiming and his wife. The two were stunned and shook their heads at the same time. "That's fine," Li Chen turned around and said, "You two, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. If this person is still making trouble here, call our hospital security personnel." Watching Li Chen turn around and leave, Lai Wanyan and Wang Yiming came back to their senses. Wang Yiming glanced at the distance where Li Chen and Chu Xiang stood just now, and swallowed his saliva. This Mr. Li seemed to be very powerful. Chu Xiang stared at Wen Mantung with resentment and said, "You haven't divorced yet, and this man is helping you. Okay, Wen Mantung, is this what you said about not cheating? Are you so cheap that you can't wait to lick him?" "Chu Xiang, that's enough." Wang Yiming couldn't stand it anymore. A man who is so petty would be a torture for anyone to be his wife. "Enough? Wang Yiming, you should be careful with your own wife. I am your lesson." Chu Xiang sneered and climbed up. Wang Yiming looked at the man in front of him with pity, turned to Lai Wanyan and said, "Do you believe me now?" Lai Wanyan nodded heavily and said, "I blamed you wrongly. I am also sorry." Tong Tong. "Chu Xiang, I was wrong. From today, our relationship is over." Chu Xiang sneered at the words, looked at the three of them and turned away. "Tong Tong," Lai Wanyan stretched out his hand, full of guilt, and said, "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. It has nothing to do with you, we all misjudged." Wen Mantung smiled sadly. "What about Xiaobao? I sent Xiaobao to my parents a long time ago. I asked them to go out and hide first," Wen Mantung said bitterly. "So, Chu Xiang lied to you when he said Xiaobao was still at home?" "He didn't come home today," Lai Wanyan exclaimed. Wang Yiming, who was standing by, pulled his wife and asked her not to talk about these sad things. "Wen Mantung, I have something to say, but I don't know if I should say it or not," Wang Yiming said. "Say it. Didn't you find that someone has been watching you?" Wang Yiming said. "Did you offend someone?" Wen Mantung said bitterly, "It was Chu Xiang who was watching me." Lai Wanyan. Wang Yiming. The room fell into silence. After a long time, Wang Yiming said, "When Wanyan gets better, let her accompany you to get a divorce. If Chu Xiang doesn't agree, I'll come forward." "Thank you." Wen Mantung nodded. "This marriage has come to an end. Husband, after thinking it over, I decided to write down my experience and post it online." Lai Wanyan pulled Wen Mantung and looked at Wang Yiming and said, "I can't watch Li Chen continue to suffer this injustice. What if the whole internet scolds you? Just feel Li Chen's mood. Since you have made up your mind, then do it. We can't let the locals of Rongcheng be bullied by a foreigner, right?" "Husband, you are so nice, thank you," Lai Wanyan said happily. "As long as you don't say good things for Chu Xiang in the future." "Go to hell," Lai Wanyan glared at her husband, and then looked at Wen Man-tung embarrassedly and said, "Tong Tong, let's be discharged from the hospital tomorrow. Let's ask Li Chen to prescribe more medicine and leave Chu Xiang as soon as possible, so that you can be relieved. It's really scary that even your wife is monitored." The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 658. Hotel. After venting his anger, Chu Xiang lay on the bed, his eyes still filled with resentment. Li Zhenqian looked at Chu Xiang's face and said, "What's wrong? You haven't calmed down your anger yet." Chu Xiang slowly calmed down his resentment and said, "No. I'm just unwilling to give in." "Humph," Li Zhenqian snorted, very dissatisfied, "isn't this better? You don't like Wen Man-tung anyway, you divorced her, and you just happen to be with me." Hearing this, the corners of Chu Xiang's mouth twitched slightly. How could he really let go of Wen Man-tung? As for the woman in her arms, she was not worthy of carrying Wen Man-tung's shoes. Chu Xiang didn't know which link went wrong that caused Wen Man-tung to change so much, but his hatred for Li Chen had penetrated deep into his bones. If it weren't for Li Chen's appearance, his marriage would never have ended so miserably. Now, Wen Man-tung is determined to divorce herself. Even Lai Wanyan, who she has played with since childhood, has drawn a clear line with herself. This loss is really too great. Feeling Chu Xiang's unquenched anger, Li Zhenqian had no choice but to comfort her. "Since Li Chen destroyed your marriage first, why don't we strike first?" Huh, there was a flash of doubt in Chu Xiang's eyes. It would be best if he could take revenge on Li Chen. Li Zhenqian took out her cell phone and said, "Someone came to me recently and said that if we are willing, we can kill Li Chen together so that he will never recover." "Who?" "Zhang Chenggu family." Chu Xiang looked at Li Zhenqian's eyes, showed a smile and said, "Very good. For them, the Gu family is an unattainable existence. If the Gu family is willing to take action, then this matter is probably a sure thing. Contact them," Chu Xiang said immediately, and soon Li Zhenqian took out her mobile phone and dialed the number. Soon, the call was connected. Chu Xiang. Hearing the person on the phone call his name directly, Chu Xiang's eyes flashed with surprise, but he was quickly relieved. Since the other party found him, he must have investigated it. "It's me," Chu Xiang said, "I heard that you are willing to deal with Li Chen." "That's right. If you are willing, we can work together. In a few days, Li Chen will be completely ruined and will never recover. What should I do?" "That's all you need." On the phone, the voice was clear and organized, telling some arrangements. Chu Xiang's eyes lit up when he heard this. "Okay, I know what to do." Chu Xiang nodded when he heard this, with a smile on his face. Li Chen, you are dead." Boom. Just then, there was a knock on the door. The two of them were immediately frightened and hid in bed. Boom. The knocking on the door continues. Chu Xiang frowned. The knock on the door was very strange. Just when the two of them were about to continue not talking, the door was slammed open with a loud bang. Neither Chu Xiang nor Li Zhenqian recognized the person coming from the door. "Who are you? Who let you in?" Chu Xiang shouted angrily. "Chu Xiang, you beast!" At the door, many people rushed in. Chu Xiang was dumbfounded. He never expected that his parents would also come. "Beast, how dare you!" The old man picked up a cup and smashed it on Chu Xiang's head. Chu Xiang could barely avoid it, his face turned pale with fear. It was not just his parents who came, but also their relatives. Li Zhenqian was completely dumbfounded. She was grabbed up and she screamed without even putting on her clothes. "Li Zhenqian, do you dare to play with me?" "He Yang, I'm not." Snapped. The young man who rushed in slapped Li Zhenqian hard on the face with a wave of his hand. The whole room was filled with people, all pointing and pointing. Chu Xiang's face turned pale, he was finished. He and Li Zhenqian were both finished, and there were still people taking pictures. Li Zhenqian, you have a boyfriend and you dare to know who is third and third. This is not the end between us. Bitch, if you seduce my son, I'll beat you to death, I'll beat you to death. There was chaos in the room, and even the officials came. When Wen Mantong and Lai Wanyan arrived, their expressions were endless indifference. Chu Xiang's parents kept crying beside Wen Mantong, saying apologies and sorry. Finally, Lai Wanyan came forward and revealed Wen Mantong's decision. Since Chu Xiang has cheated on her and doesn't care about her family at all, it's natural to get a divorce. Wen Mantong, you bitch, did you arrange it? Before Chu Xiang could finish speaking, he was slapped in the face by his father. Why do you have the nerve to say it? Chu Xiang's parents were extremely angry and extremely disappointed with their son. It was supposed to be a family that everyone envied, but because of his own problems, the whole family was gone. Forget it, now the Chu family has completely become the object of everyone's disgust and discussion. As for Li Zhenqian, it was even worse. When you have a boyfriend, you dare to cheat on someone and hook up with a married man. It is really shameless. Now that the Li family has severed ties with Li Zhenqian, the Li family doesn't care about how her boyfriend tortured Li Zhenqian. Chu Xiang was forced to divorce and was unwilling to do so. Wen Mantong got the divorce certificate and went back with Lai Wanyan without even looking at Chu Xiang. The Chu family was in a state of depression. Chu Xiang had a huge scandal. As soon as he got home, he received a call from the company and was fired. All the related companies issued a joint statement. In view of Chu Xiang's personal morality, they jointly banned him and would never hire him again. When Chu Xiang heard the news, he sat on the ground in a daze. Old man Chu fainted on the spot. Chu Xiang's father was so angry that he picked up a thick stick and broke Chu Xiang's leg. Chu Xiang covered his broken leg and lay on the ground screaming in pain. The Chu family was in a state of depression. Now, even many hospitals knew about Chu Xiang's affairs and were even more unwilling to receive him. In the end, the Chu family could only find a country doctor to set his bones and other follow-up matters, but the price was not small. After all, others also risked their reputation to treat him. Chu Xiang, you really bring shame to our community. Bah! You are such a good-looking person. You are not satisfied with Tong Tong. You deserve it. Go, don't talk to their family in the future. It is the fault of the father if the son is not well educated. His father also has problems. As the matter fermented, some people on the internet also knew about it. Regarding Chu Xiang's actions, many netizens had a consistent attitude. They felt that Chu Xiang was really a piece of shit and cursed him together. Chu Xiang was the kind of person with a small heart. After seeing these comments, he was depressed and wanted to commit suicide. Go to hell, scumbag. It's really a waste of air when alive and a waste of land when dead. People like this deserve to be single for life. Now that major companies have united and never hire them, it is right. This kind of cheating scumbag deserves to die. Class group. Have you heard about it? Big news. I really can't believe it. I didn't expect there are such shameless people. I said before that Li Zhenqian was protecting Chu Xiang, right? I guessed it right. It's really a shame to have such people as our friends. Forget it, everyone should say less. After all, we are classmates. If others have problems with their personal morality, that's their problem. If we keep discussing it here, what's the difference between us and others? Yes, the class monitor is right. Let's not exaggerate. After all, we are classmates. It's good that Wen Mantong is relieved now. I just hope Chu Xiang will be a serious person in the future and don't make mistakes again. Chu Xiang, we will not forgive your mistakes, but we will not delete you. We still hope that you can recognize your mistakes, correct them and start a new life. Yes. Okay, okay, don't say anything, just do what you need to do. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Hamigwa. Chapter 659. Looking at the people in the class group, they didn't blame themselves too much, even the class monitor and others took the initiative to change the topic. Chu Xiang, who was lying on the bed, put down his phone with a dull look. 2 lines of tears flowed from the corners of his eyes, and he couldn't help crying in pain. Chu Xiang hit his head with his hands and wanted to die. If I hadn't been so petty at the beginning, maybe all this would not have happened. If I hadn't been jealous of Li Chen, maybe I could still be friends with them. If I didn't distrust Wen Mantung so much, all this would not have happened. He would not have fallen into this situation. Now, parents and relatives can't raise their heads when they see anyone. They should have been proud of themselves. Woo woo. Chu Xiang regretted it at this moment, covering his head with the quilt and crying. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine for everything. Zhang Cheng. Bang bang bang. The old housekeeper remained calm and watched Gu Qingfeng smash one precious blue and white porcelain bottle after another. At this time, Gu Qingfeng was almost furious. He asked someone to contact Chu Xiang in Rongcheng, but Chu Xiang was killed. He still didn't know who arranged it. It was obvious that they were waiting for them to jump in and then catch them all. Gu Qingfeng was so angry that he couldn't breathe evenly. He said, "What's the situation now?" "The situation is very bad. Li Chen and Zhao Dezu joined Rongcheng Chinese Medicine Hospital and studied antagonistic drugs. It can't be covered up on the internet. Recently, the information about our perfect traceless ointment having a lot of side effects can't be concealed." The old housekeeper glanced at Gu Qingfeng's face and continued, "Now, Li Chen's popularity has begun to rise, and he has released another video, analyzing our ointment problem in detail. There are more than 100,000 patients across the country. It can't be hidden anymore. Now our products can't be sold anymore. As for reputation..." The old housekeeper didn't say it, but he believed Gu Qingfeng knew. Gu Qingfeng took a deep breath. He never thought that Li Chen, who was trampled to death, still had hope of turning the tables. Besides, the old housekeeper hesitated. What else? The slimming tea incident has also been exposed. We don't have enough manpower and funds, so we can't hide it. The inspection department has intervened. What? Gu Qingfeng was shocked. When did it happen? How come I don't know? Last night, the old housekeeper responded. Gu Qingfeng slammed the table angrily. Li Chen, you are so good. The shocking reversal is coming, everyone. This is the post I posted when the snow cream just came out, and many people criticized me. I said I was helping Li and Zhao to whitewash. What do you have to say now? I was really blind. I actually supported Gu at the beginning. The damn Gu really harmed countless people. Apologize to the host and apologize to Li Chen. On the internet, there are countless posts to help Li Chen redress, and the popularity is unprecedentedly high. Mei Zinking's short video has now become the one that can be seen almost everywhere on Douyin. Her record is the best evidence. It was also because of her short video that the reputation of Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang began to reverse. On the market, Gu's products fell to the bottom all of a sudden. Many people who did not surf the internet saw the news one after another. After all, the incident of Gu's perfect traceless ointment had been reported. No one believed the explanation given by Gu's side now. Countless people called Gu's almost every day, suing Gu's inaction and begging Gu to apologize. However, at this time, Gu's was already in a state of overwhelmed. In the past 2 days, Lai Wanyan accompanied Wen Man Tung. The two posted countless posts, and not only that, they also asked for help from other people, who also began to post. After 2 days of fermentation, Li Chen's reputation began to reverse. I really want to praise the snow run cream developed by Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang. I know my words are not credible now. After all, I praised goose before, but I still have to say that there are too many bad people in this world, but there are also many good people. From what happened recently, everyone should have felt the attitude of Li Chen and Zhao Hualiang in doing things. I dare not say that they are truly conscientious companies without shortcomings, but at least now it seems that they are more conscientious than Goose. You have also seen what happened recently. Goose is playing badly. Their purpose is to make money. They don't care about our lives at all, but Li Chen and old Dr. Zhao Dezu giving birth? After being exposed like that on the internet, they finally stood up when everyone needed them. Such people are extremely evil, and I don't believe them. Yes, I don't believe things on the internet easily now. I can't just follow the crowd. At least I got help now. My injuries healed quickly. The effect of the snow running cream produced by Li Chen and his team is really unexpectedly good. It's not like goose. If you apply too much, there will be side effects. Li Chen snow running cream, just apply a little bit, and you can see a very obvious clearing reaction. This is a conscientious domestic product. Public opinion is terrible. Because of public opinion, Li Chen, Zhao Dezu, and Zhao Hualiang were almost completely trampled to death. Caused them to suffer huge losses. But it was also because of public opinion that the rebound from the bottom began. Goose standing high, now it fell badly, because the incident broke out too quickly. The perfect traceless ointment had just gone wrong, and the slimming tea followed suit. In addition, they sold a lot and had a large user group. The moment the outbreak occurred, they could no longer control it. Li Chen Snow Run Cream is now used as a therapeutic drug and has not yet been officially launched on the market, while Xiaofeng tea has become popular and is accepted and known by more and more people. Li Chen has been completely with Zhao Dezu and the others for the past 2 days. Even with his current cultivation, he can't bear it. As for Master Zhao Dezu, he had already fallen down tired and was sleeping soundly. Looking at the master's tired face, Li Chen held Zhao Dezu with one hand to relieve him. Otherwise, the old man might fall down first. Fortunately, Li Chen is now a strong man in the realm of heaven and man, so he is not overwhelmed. Zhao Dezu's fatigue has obviously been eliminated a lot. Ding dong ding dong. Zhao Dezu's phone kept ringing and vibrating. Li Chen was about to turn it off for him when he found that his own phone was also ringing. At this time, Zhao Dezu also woke up. He rubbed his sleepy eyes. He was obviously very sleepy before, but for some reason, after waking up from this short sleep, he felt refreshed. What's wrong? Zhao Dezu rubbed his neck and looked at Li Chen. No, I saw that my phone kept ringing just now. I wanted to mute it, but I didn't expect you to wake up. Li Chen handed Zhao Dezu's phone over. The Country Life of a Rich Dad. Author, Wo Shihami Gua. Chapter 660. Zhao Dezu picked up his phone in confusion and found that there were countless messages on the contact software. Dr. Zhao Dezu, thank you very much for your treatment. Thank you very much for not arguing with stupid people like us. I hope you live a long life. Dr. Zhao, we are vindicating you and will definitely give you justice. Thank you Dr. Zhao for your treatment. We will make Gu pay the price. Although Zhao Dezu is old, he still has social accounts. At this moment, Zhao Dezu was still bombarded with private messages on major social accounts. But this time, the private messages were not to scold him, but to thank him. Zhao Dezu smiled as he watched. The old man raised his phone and said proudly, "Did you see? Many people are thanking me now." Li Chen remained silent. Zhao Dezu said again, tisk tisk, netizens nowadays are not really all stupid. After realizing their mistakes, they are brave enough to apologize. This is actually very good. No one will not make mistakes. Oh, it seems that the old man's efforts have paid off. Seeing that the master began to show off the private messages these people sent to him again, Li Chen silently took out his mobile phone and placed it in front of Zhao Dezu. On the first page of the mobile phone, all of them were his personal social software. And at this moment, all the software on this side were marked with red 99+. Li Chen tilted his head and looked at the old man Zhao Dezu, and found that the smile on his face slowly disappeared. Tisk Li Chen clicked his tongue and silently opened the phone. Well, all of them are praising my handsomeness, well, and my little babies are also very cute, well, there are many private messages to apologize. Zhao Dezu. Ah, look, there are hundreds of private messages just now, master. Get lost, Zhao Dezu frowned and silently put away his phone. He doesn't like this disciple at all now, it's very annoying. When can we be treated? Why haven't you developed any medicine yet? Are only doctors in Rongcheng doctors? Shouldn't you doctors think of a solution now? Except for Rongcheng, all major cities across the country are not peaceful at this time. The side effects of the perfect traceless ointment have all erupted after such a long time. The major hospitals are overcrowded, and then the people who bought Gu's slimming tea also had problems. The result is that the hospitals in major cities are completely full. The snow melting ointment was boycotted before, resulting in no goods in all channels. As for the real treatment methods, they are still in the hands of Rongcheng Chinese Medicine Hospital. Although Rongcheng has promoted it, it is impossible to really give it away for free. This is unrealistic, and everyone is not a real saint. What's more, this treatment drug is also a new research. So, under the premise that the rest of the people are not prepared, it is inevitable that nothing can be researched. This also leads to overcrowding in major hospitals, but there is no way to treat. On the contrary, almost all the hospitals in Rongcheng are seeking help from the Chinese Medicine Hospital. The Chinese Medicine Hospital is naturally willing to share the treatment plan. However, the treatment drugs need to be found from 4 small pharmaceutical group companies including Wang Group. These drugs are the result of their cooperation with Li Group, and the contract has been signed long ago. In addition, it is not too difficult to treat the abdominal pain and diarrhea caused by slimming tea. The relief drugs have been developed, and this time they are a tripartite cooperation between the Chinese Medicine Hospital, Li Group, and Zhao Group, while Xiaofeng tea is promoted by Li Group, Zhao Group, Kangquilai, and others at the same time. Therefore, Rongcheng has become the focus of attention now, and countless patients are calling and asking for help. However, the number of people affected this time is too wide. Even if everyone reacts, it is too late. What's more, there are already a large number of patients in Rongcheng, and the hospital still has to give priority to those who arrive at the hospital first. This makes the number of treatments more precious. The less people get treated, the more annoyed and angry they become. The result is that all the terrible resentment is vented on Gu. Gu's high-rise buildings can't bear the anger of the people after all. They thought they could calm down this time, but they were wrong. Gu's office building was surrounded by people, and even the major shareholders were afraid to go out because they were afraid of being beaten to death. As for Gu's products, pharmacies, shops, etc., none of them were spared and were beaten to pieces. Overnight, Gu's losses were unprecedented. Not only that, even the supervision department intervened in the investigation. Dog Gu Qingfeng, you are really black-hearted capitalists. I curse your whole family to die. You make such black-hearted money. Don't you really have a conscience? Gu Qingfeng must die a bad death. We will never give up unless we are compensated and explained. The internet was in an uproar. How glorious Gu was before, how embarrassed it is now. According to our report, the parties involved in the GU group have never appeared, because the side effects and complications caused by the GU group's perfect traceless ointment have become more and more serious. According to the survey, almost 1 in every 3 people used this ointment and is now in pain and waiting for treatment. The latest news is that Dr. Zhao Dezu, who was previously boycotted by the whole nation, issued a statement and will announce the treatment plan around 8 o'clock tonight. According to the patients who have been treated, this treatment is extremely difficult. Zhao Dezu and Li Chen have paid a lot. They apologize for their previous ignorance. As various news reports appeared, almost everyone was paying attention to this moment. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Zhao Dezu and Li Chen appeared in the live news interview, and countless people from all over the country were watching this master and apprentice. Who would have thought that the 2 people who were previously boycotted by the whole network have now become everyone's savior? Regarding the rescue plan, we have studied it for a long time and got the most gentle treatment method. First of all, the snow melting cream jointly researched by the Li group and the Zhao group has no side effects at all. This is a drug that can help everyone relieve troubles and relieve pain. It is also the main treatment to help you suppress the deterioration of the disease in the early stage. If you gradually recover, you can proceed to the second step of treatment. This drug is now in the hands of the Wang group. Li Chen accompanied the whole process and did not say a word. Zhao Dezu was the one who spoke. As for what everyone will think after hearing about this treatment plan, it has nothing to do with them. The treatment method has been announced, and it depends on the individual whether to believe it or not. On the night when the plan was announced, everyone was stunned. After all, these people have not yet accepted Li Chen and Zhao Dezu as much as the people who received treatment in Rongcheng. And now the problem facing this group of people is, can products like snow melting cream still be trusted? If these are still ineffective after buying, it is equivalent to losing both the wife and the army. But if you don't buy it, the consequences will only become more and more serious. More importantly, there is no stock now. Just when everyone was uneasy and had not yet made a decision, Li Donglong, the president of Li Group, released a new speech, promising that the snow melting cream jointly developed by Li Group and Zhao Group would be put on the shelves in all channels tonight, and the price would remain unchanged.